Hey guys, Griffith Woodworking here. Hey, today I want to show you guys one of my latest projects I've been working on. For the longest time, I've been working off this old workbench here. It was actually the first kitchen table that I built, but being a new woodworker about 6 years ago, I made quite a few mistakes with putting the top together, and it turned out it wasn't going to be a very good kitchen table. So I decided to cut my losses and turn it into a little workbench here because I don't have a big space in my garage to do this work. So I threw together a couple temporary supports to sit it on. I would store tools underneath. And it just got so crowded, not enough space to store my tools and not enough space on top to do the work I want to do. I found myself working in the floor with all my tools, things like that. So I decided to combine the two. I decided I wanted to make a new workbench and that would have lots of storage underneath. So this right here is my latest project that I just finished. I still want to put a few touches on it, but I'll go ahead and give you a quick rundown of what I made here and the benefits to all of it. One of the big drivers of this whole thing was my new table saw. I got a new table saw for Christmas, but I didn't have anywhere to put it. So what I did is I went ahead and took this top, which is made of melamine, and I would cut out the exact size here for my table saw. And I would take that piece of the top and I put it on a little stand right here about halfway up in order to get this to flush with the top here. And now I can use this whole tabletop in order to use my table saw, and I'm able to raise it and lower it. If I don't want to use it as a table saw at the moment, and that way it's still flush with everything else, and I can still use this portion as just part of the workbench. The attachments that I keep under here, and they fit right here as they should, right on the top. That way, I didn't have to waste any of my space for my table saw, and when I'm not using the table saw, I can use it as part of my workbench. Another thing I added was a router table. I was given an old router with a table from one of my friends a few years ago, and I've never really been able to use it because it really wasn't the sturdiest of tables. It's a little bit older, so I went ahead and I cut out a little slot for it where I could sit this table also flush down on my workbench. Just like with my table saw, the top of the router table is flush with the rest of the workbench. That way, if I'm not using it as a router, I can lower the router down underneath, which is where it's installed, and I can just use the whole thing as a table, as a workbench, and it's not in the way. One of the main benefits of this project was to be able to store all of my tools in one spot underneath on the bottom of this workbench. This isn't just my workshop, this is also where my wife parks her car, and I have been told a number of times that I use way too much space because most of the time she can't park in here. And believe me, I hear about it. So this solves that problem as well. Once I get rid of the old workbench here, I have all of my tools underneath. This will slide right over here. My truck, by the way, is too big to fit in here anyway. So it'll slide over here, and my wife will be able to park here all she wants. Let's take a look at the storage over here. What I did is I just took plywood and put it on top of the frame that I built for the entire workbench. And that way I can put all my tools underneath and I have plenty more room for more. And also one thing I did is I went ahead and installed this power strip here with this plug. All I have to do is take this plug and put it to the power on the wall, and then every tool you can plug it in right here, and that way whenever you have your tools out, you won't have power cords stretched across to the walls everywhere you go. Now I'm just hoping that I'm not Clark Griswold and I just blow a breaker every time I use it, but that is a risk I take. Now let me show you one of my favorite things about this. I installed heavy-duty casters on all four corners. So that way I can move this wherever I want. I'll go ahead and spin it around so you can take a look at what's on the other side. can tell, it's very easy to roll around. Once I get it in the location that I want, let's say I want it on this side right here, each of these wheels have a locking caster. Just step it down, put the brake on each one, put the brake on, and there. Now it will not move, it's sturdy and ready to work. On this side, it's just the same thing, lots of storage. I have my jigsaw, my miter saw, and I have all of my drills. I have my drills, my Craig jig, all of the things I'm going to need underneath in this one spot. That way I can get them all out of the way whenever my wife needs to park in here. So that's just a quick rundown of how I installed my table saw and my router in my new workbench to save space with all of the storage for my tools underneath.